Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Committed to Me podcast. I am Keisha Smiley, licensed social worker and mental health therapist.
Hey y'all, I am Alexis Campbell, licensed clinical social worker and licensed mental health therapist.
All right, so Alexis, how you been, girl?
Girl, busy. Life.
You have.
Life has
Yeah,
been
Alexis been too busy to talk to me. She been
too
that
busy.
Okay.
Me? You didn't even want to go to Cinco de Mayo with me, okay?
I had a headache.
Y'all, me and Keisha was supposed to go to Cinco de Mayo, have a couple drinks, and just kiki and catch up.
Listen,
girl left me high and dry.
I ain't do no kikiing for Cinco de Mayo.
You
I
did
ain't even
not.
have a margarita for Cinco de Mayo.
This year felt different.
It did.
It felt really
like
different.
it.
But how have you been outside of the headaches and standing people up?
Girl, the shade. Not the shade to the YouTube people, girl. I've been good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've been, I don't know, like I noticed like I ain't been on social media. I haven't been posting my reels like I normally do. Like, you just look up and you like, dang, I ain't been doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I've been in this little busy phase. I don't know. But I'm still reading my Bible.
Come on.
Still going on my 3-mile walks.
Good.
House is clean.
Yes.
Ties are paid.
Come on. We love to hear it.
So I'm doing a little something, but I feel like I gotta get back to the social media.
I feel you, but it's necessary to take breaks sometimes.
It is.
I know my social media account is tired of me because I just be ghosting it like
Listen.
I never created it, but it's in there.
I be on a roll like good little 2-3 weeks, and then I go ghost. You look up, it's 3 months. You ain't posted nothing. You're like, dang, I gotta get back to it.
So much time.
Yeah, girl, how you been?
Honestly, life has been busy, but I think I've been managing. I am going to go back to my grounding techniques as well, too. So getting back involved in therapy, trying to work my way, getting back to a workout schedule,
Okay.
but really just allowing myself to rest.
There you
I'm in
go.
that type of season right now where I'm trying to find rest where I can, so that way I feel balanced within myself.
I love that because, like we talked about last episode, we are not doing grind culture.
No.
We are resting when we need to, and we're not going to feel bad about resting.
Very true. And so for today's episode, y'all, we are talking about part 2 and investing in yourself. And on this episode, we're going to focus a lot more on the career side. On the last episode, we definitely took a time to focus on the health side and the mental health side of things. But today is going to be a mixture of mental health and career.
Okay.
Yeah. So Keisha, I'm wondering, what has your mental health journey been like in trying to feel like you have accomplished, managing your accomplishments, and also transitioning in your career from your 20s to your 30s?
I don't know. I did go through a phase where I feel like I was behind in my career from a lot of people. I think because I postponed grad school. And then people who went straight to school and then they were coming out getting these good careers, and I was still about to start grad school. But overall, I think I've always held down a solid job, solid career. But I just got to a point, I would say in my 30s, where I was just okay, I want more. I want to do another pivot to where I'm literally investing in myself, whether it's the social work, it's obtaining CEUs or getting classes on different things so I can up my knowledge, my expertise. So I think that's the phase that I'm even still in. So even pivoting from medical social work to also doing therapy.
Yeah.
It's just trying to juggle both and to see where I fit in the midst of it. I think that's the phase I'm in right now.
Yeah. So is this
Or
exploring?
I wouldn't say exploring.
or is there a direct path here?
So definitely going into therapy. I was doing therapy back in my 20s for a solid 6 years doing therapy, and then I took a break because it just felt so. I think I got burnt out between all these difficult clients and difficult cases, and you come in, it's the same story time after time. So now I'm okay, I feel refreshed. It's been a couple of years. Let me get back into it so I can actually give this therapy my full attention. And I feel my perspective is different now that I'm in my 30s. I've experienced life. So I think the direction is wanting to do therapy full time eventually, but still right now getting my feet wet, upping my knowledge, rereading books from college. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's a lot. But I know in the end there's a purpose to it.
Yeah, and keep knowing when. it's you taking the deep breath. Honestly, it's a lot trying to balance between making that pivot and then also keeping in mind like what purpose is to you. And I think that's something that comes up a lot for people as they make that transition from their 20s and 30s in their career of what is my purpose and where do I want that to be.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's chasing their purpose right now.
I can see that too. Yeah. Like I'm something about 2025, just trying to focus on what it is that you want and how to get there, and putting yourself first as well too, because like I said, life happens really fast and you can change as well too. And so I allowed myself, especially transitioning from my 20s to my 30s, to allow myself to change. And I believe it could be very difficult for people to accept that they need to change in order to get to what they believe their purpose is, because sometimes you take on this thought process or belief that you only supposed to have this one path and this one path is supposed to work out for you. And it sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, and realizing that your mind has changed and that's just simply not how it goes. But I agree, like the path is a lot. Like it's a lot.
It is. And even like me, like the spiritual side of me thinks, like, you ask God also, like, God, like, direct me, give me clarity, like, what's my path, what's my purpose. And I heard this, like, one sermon or something, but it was just like, God gives you gifts. And, and for you to sit there and hold that gift and to not give that gift to the people that he's trusted you to give it to, it can also be like your, I don't know, inspiring motivation to like actually hone in on your talents and your gifts, because especially as therapists, like we can help people experience a totally different life, experience a breakthrough. And just what if we never went after, going to school to begin with to get the degree in psychology, get the degree in social work. Think about all the lives that we wouldn't be changing had we not tapped into our purpose and went after it and decided not to change, not to pivot, not to invest in ourselves. So, God gives you people for whatever your gift and your talent is in whatever area, and it's up to you to use that gift and not waste it,
I mean, I do believe that everything is strongly interconnected. And so in every season that I've been in, or every career that I've been in, whether I liked it or not, I really just thought about like, okay, well, what skill is being developed here that I can later use in the future? And I do believe that everything that you go through on this earth, good or bad, is for you to find purpose in it, or make meaning of it if you can. And sometimes you need help trying to make meaning of it, because once you've been knocked down so many times, or you have some experiences that affect your self-esteem, you may need to sit with family members, friends, and ask them a couple questions about like how they see you, and like, what they believe is a strength of yours, especially if you feel like you've lost yourself. Because yes, I do believe like we all have gifts on this earth, and sometimes your gift could be something that helps the next person, or it could just be something that opens up the door for you, or like your own, like you establishing your own legacy. And so I know for me, going into therapy, it really wasn't something I had at the top of my mind. I mean, girl, I wanted to be a nurse. Like I wasn't
pivot.
And honestly, I wanted to be a nurse because my mom wanted to be a nurse. So I was almost trying to fulfill something that I felt like should have been hers, but life happened to her. Like she got pregnant at a very early age, and she decided to have me and focus on being a mom instead of doing both and balancing her career at that time. And I just took that on as her oldest daughter, of like, well, I'm going to go and do this for the both of us,
Make her proud.
And make her proud. And I believe a lot of people do that, where they take on the stories of their family members or their loved ones, and they make it within their own journey. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you also have to allow yourself to find your story.
Correct. And to live for yourself and not someone else.
Yes.
That makes me think of, I've been watching Forever on Netflix.
Oh, love it down.
And that's essentially what the kid was doing, like wanting to go to Northwestern because that's what his mom wanted him to do. And he wasn't happy at all. Like,
no, he was
not happy, was miserable, in tears at the thought of going to Northwestern, going to a predominantly white institution again.
Yeah.
Not seeing someone of color, not being able to go after music, which is what he wanted.
The baby was so talented. So talented.
So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make your parents happy, but you have to live for yourself.
Yeah. And also as parents, I know growing up, my mom did not place a lot of expectations on me. She really just wanted me to become my own woman, and I really adore and love her for that. But I do believe, especially in a couple of the scenes in Forever, we saw how much of the mom's expectations outweighed her son.
She did not play. She didn't want to hear nothing.
And the actors and actresses, they did a really good job of depicting a black family and how moms often create their expectations from a place of fear. But shout out to the dad for being this emotional, intelligent man.
Especially he was like, you want her to be a man, right? We got to give him opportunities to be the man.
Yeah.
So go get your girl, but be home by 12.
Right.
I was like, all right, I love that. I love that style of parenting.
Yeah, I need more shows like that. We need more shows like that, because that type of love and family dynamic, it really does exist, especially when it's not all about trauma and black people experiencing trauma in their family. Like, yes, we know it does happen, but what about the other stories?
Exactly.
I really loved how he had to come to terms, and they both had to make very hard decisions at a very young age, and what it really looks like to choose yourself and to want something for yourself. And it takes a lot of support to do that.
It does. Support is so necessary.
It is.
It is. I saw a post that was like something like, you may have your support system, but then you also have your destiny helpers.
Oh.
And I'm like, I love destiny helpers. Like,
break that down. What is a destiny helper?
I think a destiny helper is someone who helps you obtain your gifts, obtain your purpose in life. Like, not just like, hey, you had a stressful day, we're here to support you, you got this. But like, let me actually invest in you, put time, put energy into you, like believe in you, believe in everything that's possible for you, believe in your potential.
Yeah.
Like someone that just, pushes you, guides you along the way. I feel like you may be my destiny helper. Like even this, like us being
You're not about to make me cry up in here today.
No, but like
no,
us being at the practice, I mean, even for you to expand from single, to group, you're gonna make me cry. Don't do that. Girl. But even like with me and Hannah, like you've been here, you've helped us. I'm sure it's hard to juggle all this by yourself. But baby, you be pushing it. You be honing in with these little monthly meetings. She be trying. You do. But I really feel like that. And even with the podcast, like what if I never sent you that message that was like, hey, put me on your one episode. And then you was like, well, shoot, if you want to do this, let's do it. And I'm like, well, shit, let's do it. And look where we are. We're in season 2 of the podcast.
Yeah.
So I really do feel like in some aspect you are a destiny helper without even knowing it, So just know that what you're doing is not in vain. And you are even helping me and Hannah expand ourselves and our skills and believe in ourselves and giving us this opportunity to work with patience,
I'm not going to cry. Like I said, that was not the mission for today.
It was not.
It was not the mission for today. But I do agree. Destiny helpers definitely make a difference.
They do. They make a huge difference.
I feel like my first encounter with a destiny helper was when I was in high school. This lady, I cannot remember her name. I believe her name is Miss Graham or Miss Greer. But I want to say Miss Graham. I was just living a high school life. I was just happy to be in high school and really to have friends. And I remember this program that they placed me in. And I never understood why I got placed in so many programs, child. Yeah. I must have been really talkative or disruptive. I have no idea. But I was always in some type of girl support group or in some type of college life skill readiness type of class, and I used to love those classes because I'm like, yes, let's talk down, like let's really get to the root of this. Like, girl, I was reading Chicken Noodle Soup for the Heart and Soul at early age. Like, I don't know, y'all, I've always wanted to know about how other people experience life. But this one teacher, I remember my mom, we were going through a hard time in my freshman year of high school. And at that time, I didn't feel like my mom really like saw me, but we were just like surviving. And I remember being so frustrated at my mom because I just couldn't do what the other students could do, which is gymnastics or cheerleading, because that's when stuff really started costing money. And I knew if it cost money, I might as well just have to hang it up. That's why I got so hooked on handbells class, because it was free. I didn't have to spend no money, girl. The handbells came out. All I had to do was show up and ring a bell.
And flick your wrist.
And flick my wrist. Okay, I was happy. But I just knew going into high school, I wanted to really do something. And so cheerleading was my thing that I gotten into. And I don't know how this happened, but my mom was supposed to come up there and drop off like a uniform or something for me. And she ran into my teacher. And my teacher and her sat down and had a conversation for about an hour about me. And my mom was like, Alexis, you I don't know what you're doing, but like we got to start focusing on college and taking things seriously, because there are people out there that believe in you and they know that you are capable. And I was like, girl, what are you talking about? She was just like, and my mom, I shout out to my mom, because she really took that opportunity to be vulnerable with that teacher. Didn't know her, never met her, but she shared with her, like, Alexis wants to go and do cheerleading, but like, I know I can't afford it, and I think at that time, like, cheerleading camp was like $384, and my mama did not have it.
Right.
And this lady said, I'll pay for it.
Aww.
She paid for it all the way through, and from that point on, I grew my confidence. It allowed me to really put myself out there and get in the habit of, like, making friends and just doing something that I really enjoy doing. And so I was like, wow, like that, her seeing me and her talking to my mom and knowing where we were, and my mom actually using the opportunity to be vulnerable and not to be guarded and saying like, no, I really want more from my baby girl, but how do I give that to her? And at that moment, I really saw that teacher as a destiny helper, because it was just so many moments where she was just like, hey, I know you want to have fun, but remember this. Like, hey, I know, like, life is getting tough, but, like, did you see this in you? And I believe we all need that.
I agree. That makes me think of when I was in high school, I had a counselor, Miss Burton. And, baby, she signed me up for every gifted and talented class she could think of, student council. I was like, oh, my gosh. And, like, even when it came to, like, I think my junior year, she was just like, hey, this is the code. So when you do your application on FAFSA, you don't have to pay, I feel like she did look out for me. And that was very helpful, just knowing, like, of course I don't want to be in these gifted and talented classes because they're predominantly white. But, I'm going to take it, so I really feel like she looked out for me as well. So I think it's good to have somebody in your corner that can, like, propel you and you don't get lost in the sauce of being another black kid at another school.
Yes. Because representation does matter. And sometimes when you are trying to make your way to the top, you do not see other people who look like you, or you don't see women that's doing what you're doing, or you just don't see people doing what you're doing.
Right.
And that can be discouraging too, especially as you transition from your 20s to your 30s, of trying to figure out, like, okay, where do I see myself within my career? And sometimes you just aren't going to see someone doing what you're doing that looks like you. And that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just means that you are forging a path for more people to
there you go
to come.
You be the first one to do it and show other people behind you that it is possible with somebody that looks like me. And sometimes you are supposed to be the trendsetter and be set apart, and that's okay. But it's going to be hard because, like you said, you're going to want to have your community and see people that look like you, and you want to feel included into this space. But sometimes you are meant to just be the lonesome one that starts it off, and then other people will see you and they'll be inspired by you.
Like, what advice would you give someone who notices that their confidence is kind of taking a low? How would you encourage them, or what would you encourage them to do to rebuild their confidence as they make that transition from their 20s to their 30s?
I mean, honestly, don't compare. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. Just thinking like, hey, somebody doesn't look like me, or I don't talk like them, or I don't dress like them, or I didn't do this path that they did, and when you start to compare yourself to other people, you just start to feel like completely left out. You begin to beat yourself up. You're thinking all these thoughts like, stupid me, how could I do this, all kind of things. And then you just in this loop of negative thoughts, this loop of comparison, this loop of low self-esteem, this loop of no confidence. So honestly, no comparison, and accepting that if you are different, you're different, and it's okay. Like, you don't want to always fit in, and then you stuck in the crowd, fading out to the crowd. Like, you want to be the leader, you want to be able to stand out. And then to just be okay being set apart. I think those are the two main things, because when you stop comparing and you start to realize that I am my own person, I'm my own individual, and then you start to believe in yourself, and everything that you once thought was something negative, you start to see a positive in everything. So I guess like retraining your mind, to believe in yourself and to have these positive thoughts. And even when you have those negative thoughts, like, question yourself, like, what's the validity of these negative thoughts, and what's the proof behind it? And then you'll start to see that there really is no proof. It's just you in your head beating yourself up.
What words of advice would you give a listener that wants to make the transition but know that they are financially struggling because they are either trying to support others or they are in a pattern of people pleasing and that's financially taking a toll on them?
Okay.
What advice or what framework would you give listeners that are trying to make that transition from their 20s to their 30s, but their money looking funny?
Okay, baby, everybody money be looking funny, so I can understand that.
Because prices are things are very expensive these days.
Listen, but honestly, I think knowing you have a goal in your head, but putting that goal onto pencil and paper, and writing it out. Give yourself a timeline, but a timeline with grace, because sometimes we like to jump a timeline and we too hard on ourselves. But a timeline with grace. I mean, like, let's say, for example, you want to pivot in your career, but you need to take a test. This test is $300. You ain't got it. So let's save $50 a month, to build upon that. But, like, I feel like putting it in pen and paper, and then you're being able to work it backwards to see how can I make this work. Even if, mama keep asking me to pay her groceries. Okay, I can pay your groceries, but this is your budget, so that I can still pay groceries, but still put a little money over here for what I need. Like, there's ways that you can do it, and you have to be able to tell your mom, like, hey, I understand you need food, so I'm still here to help you, but I also need to do this for myself.
Right.
So that way you're not neglecting yourself trying to care for someone else, but you're still able to do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So pen and paper, set your goals, set your timeline, and even ask yourself, what do I need to obtain this goal that I'm taking? Like, do I need to take this class? Do I need to go to the library and look up books and see if they got any grants or researches or things? Like,
come on, Miss Resource.
There's options out there, and you just need to be able to literally tap into your Google, ChatGTP, whatever you need to do. Or ask that person. Don't feel ashamed to let people know that you're in need of help, or that you're financially struggling, because you don't know if that person has been graced to bless you, or if they're there to help you in any kind of way. So talking to people as well, not just trying to carry all of that with yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you said, allowing yourself to accept the help. And also saying no to family, because you can't do it all, and try to elevate yourself. For those who can do it, shout out to you. It's a very challenging act, especially when you are so young and you're trying to get out of the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and living in poverty. And sometimes making those sacrifices or doing the things that you don't really want to do or asking for help could definitely make a difference. But know what the plan is. Know who has been in your corner, who wants to see you win. That makes a difference too.
It does. It made me think of back when I was doing therapy, and I was talking to this mom and her daughter. We were talking about, like, getting a job, the little girl getting a job. She was like maybe 16. You're at that time, you can just get a job at the mall. And she was like, but if I get a job, I'm not going to get paid as much as I would for our SSI disability benefits. And so it was like they were used to this like poverty mindset of just relying on benefits and the government. But I was like, but if you work X amount of hours, you'll get more than the disability, because when you're on government funding, you can't make over a certain amount. Like, you have to stay within this tax bracket. And so, like, once I told her, like, but you know, if you work this amount of hours, you'll surpass that. And she literally was like, oh,
the light bulb went
off. And I mean, that just literally goes to show, like, you know, everybody has money problems, and it can go into, like, trying to help my family do XYZ. But you have to be able to think outside the box and to just want more for yourself and to want better and to not just stay in this loop of poverty or, you know, bills to bills. Even if you got a job, you may be doing check to check. But the importance of savings is, like, I cannot, like, explain how important it is to save.
Yeah.
And I had read an article in Forbes. They said a lot of Americans, I think like 60% of Americans can't afford a $500 crisis because they don't have that to save. And that just goes to show how much, you know, in lack people are.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even if 500 seems like a huge goal to you, start at $20. Like, $20 every check. And you will be there in no time and be so glad that you saved and invested in yourself.
And that's why I like those women on TikToks that be encouraging people to put money in envelopes.
I really think I want to try that.
It's beautiful to see. It's a beautiful feeling to see someone put money aside each time and they reach their goal. That feeling feels really good. You know, it feels really good. But if you have $25 left over or $5 left over, that amount of money can really add up, and that money can add up to where you can then take that to fulfill a commitment that you wanted for yourself. And a big thing that we all owe ourselves is to fulfill our commitments, you know, especially the ones that are dedicated towards helping ourselves that can then help someone else, you know. And somewhere, somehow, you got to stop, you got to exit the loop of constantly being helpful to others and not helpful to yourself.
Correct. I cannot explain how important it is to recommit to yourself. Committed to me. Okay, you follow the method that we've been doing, you know. But you are your number one person, and if you literally don't invest in yourself, like, life all around you is going to fall apart. Like, you need to be the best version of yourself, and that only happens when you literally invest in yourself in all these different aspects of life, from career, education, spirituality, financially, health, fitness, nutrition. You know, it all plays a part in this huge wheel. And when you're lacking in one area, it literally affects another area that you wouldn't even think of.
Yeah. Well, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the gems that we dropped on today's episode. If y'all have any questions, please be sure to leave a comment or send us an email. We would love to hear from y'all and how ways in which you're committed to yourself and your elevation in your career.
Yes, and don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Committed to Me Podcast. Subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. We're on Apple Music and Spotify.
Yes, y'all. And don't forget to leave this episode 5 stars. We would love to hear from y'all. And we see y'all next time.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.